Ladies and gentlemen, let's Gaming video. Backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 4 has been a hot topic for some time. Many were very excited when PlayStation 2 backwards compatibility was finally leaked for the system. But it's possible that PS2 discs and classics will not be compatible with the emulator on the PlayStation 4, at least according to the folks over at NeoGAF. According to the rumours, and bear in mind, do take them with a grain of salt until we get official confirmation one way or the other from Sony themselves, it is not going to be as simple as popping in your PlayStation 2 games via disc. So you, for example, own a copy of Tekken Tag on the PlayStation 2, you can't just simply pop that into the PlayStation 4 and run it. And also, if you own PS2 classics on the PS3, on your PSN account, there's a good possibility that they won't necessarily run on the PlayStation 4. But, even if these rumours, at least for now, are true, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have to re-buy PlayStation 2 games for the PlayStation 4. So in other words, it doesn't necessarily mean that there are going to be separate purchases. So in a sense, it doesn't mean you're going to be screwed. What it could mean is that you're going to be able to upgrade the version for the PS4. So essentially this could either be for free, which would obviously be the best for customers. It could be at a discount, whether that's a steep discount, so for example 80 or 90% off of the asking price, or whether it's a minor discount, let's say 10 to 25%, or it is possible that you're going to have to buy the PS2 classics for full price. Unfortunately, backwards compatibility is a bit of a minefield for numerous reasons. This access for backwards compatibility is a problem with the PlayStation 4, and it's not just because they would have to do a lot of coding and all of that stuff, but essentially it could be a security risk. We know that the PlayStation 2 wasn't exactly the securest of systems, i.e. piracy and backups, towards the end of its lifespan. So what they don't want is the potential to have a back door into the system, I imagine. Obviously I'm not Sony, so I'm making some speculation there. Regarding the actual game itself, making those games run on the PS4, so let's, for the sake of argument, once again go with Tekken Tag, you actually might need situations where specific patches or pieces of code need to be put into the emulator to make them work. So it may not be as simple as just saying, hey, well, we're just going to make the game run because, you know, we want it to. The emulation on that particular piece or that particular game may require a lot more work. Some may just work instantly, some may require tweaking, and therefore it's possible we might get a situation where certain classics are just going to work right off the get-go. They're going to have absolutely no issue. You're just going to be able to play them without any question. On the other hand, others, you may need to upgrade the versions, as I just mentioned. Do remember at the moment, some PS2 classics are available to run on the PlayStation 4. For example, Twisted Metal Black, and we all know about the Star Wars games, but that's not everything by any stretch of the imagination. Unfortunately, we just don't have all of the facts right now, but you shouldn't just go off the deep end and start getting really upset about this. At the end of the day, we don't know what the final situation with the PlayStation 2's backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 4 is going to end up being. Now, obviously, the pure gaming nirvana, the best case scenario, would be something along the lines of the Xbox One. Potentially, according to Microsoft, they would love to get the original Xbox games running on the Xbox One, and of course Xbox 360 games running on the Xbox One, but they can't just do all the titles at once. They are unfortunately having to port or work on pieces of code for each game, and so they're trying to get them essentially on a most wanted basis. With Sony, it could end up being a very similar situation, and it could also be somewhat down to the developers themselves. So for the sake of argument, you might get a company that doesn't necessarily want it to run on the PlayStation 4. They might have licensing issues, there may be problems with perhaps licenses that have lost. This is particularly true for companies like Capcom. For example, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is very difficult to get on some platforms now. We know, for example, they lost it on the Xbox 360 and PSN it was pulled. It's just a bit difficult. And this is one of the reasons, and this is going off the beaten path, this is veering off topic a little bit here, but this is one of the reasons that I personally am a fan of physical releases in this situation, because it means it doesn't really matter what happens to the company. Their headquarters could explode, they could lose the license, whatever, their services could shut down, but as long as you've got that physical release and it doesn't need to be always on or anything like that, you know that you can just put in the game. So sure, it might not work on the latest and greatest console, but at least you can pull out the PlayStation 2 and you can play the game without any fuss or any trouble. As I said, at the moment it's too early to really start panicking about this, so don't get too upset. But it is a bit of a disappointment if this is true, particularly, and once again, assuming the worst case scenario, particularly if you have to re-buy the games specifically for the PlayStation 4. But I think there is a good possibility this may not be the case, particularly at full price, because I think people will be pretty pissed, and to be honest with you, I would not blame them. But with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.